Okay, we pray for all the volunteers and charitable work going on at Christmas time. St. Vincent de Paul, feeding the hungry. Someone on the radio doing turkey. They started by raising money for 11 turkeys or getting 11 turkeys donated. And now they have 1,100 turkeys in Calgary. So in the food banks, everything, people helping people, exactly what Jesus wants in the world, and exactly what we did yesterday. We thank everyone for that, and we just pray that joy, the world is just overridden with joy and joy and joy and happiness. Amen. Okay, page 16 gives me a great amount of joy. That's where we are on this short Friday, only 0 days of Friday. Yes. Determining slope and y-intercept from general form. What does that mean? That means big star on the top of the page, big solve for y. Okay, now we're learning it, even though we've already learned it. Okay, when it says determine the slope and y-intercept, that means get y by itself, because when it's in this form, we can look at the equation and we know that the slope is 1/2 and the y-intercept is 7. So we just need to get y equals, just like we would need to do if we were graphing a line on a calculator. And let's do it. Okay, example 2a. Now I want to talk about this y right here. It's negative. It's a lot easier to bring the negative y to one side than bring two other things, nice math teacher, two other terms to the other side and then divide by a negative number. Okay, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do, then we say negative y, we're going to bring it to the other side. It's just a lot easier to do. So we're going to add 5y to both sides. So we add 5y, we add 5y. We get 2x plus 25 equals 5y. And you can do this, you can do anything. To solve for y, when you have 5y, you do the opposite operation, divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel. You're left with, sorry, I'm running out of room. So I'm going to go over here. You're left with y equals 2 over 5x plus 25 divided by 5, which is 5. Okay, now it feels like we're done. Oh, we're so proud of ourselves, strutting around. Look at my answer. Good for me. High five myself. But you haven't answered the question. Slope. What is the slope in the y-intercept? You have to tell me that the slope equals 2/5, the number in front of x, and the y-intercept is 5. Now you get full marks. You probably get half marks for this, because you haven't told me what the slope and y-intercept is, and you can't assume that I know just by looking at it what the slope and intercept. You have to answer the question. Okay, sorry, I'm going to get you to pause it because I got to erase this mumbo jumbo to do B, and I think I'm going to run out of room for B as well. Oh well. So pause until you write it down. And take 2. Let's use blue. Okay, by the way, it's ugly sweater day on Friday. Ugly sweater and sock day. So now we have a positive 2y, so we want to keep the positive and bring everything else to the other side. Okay, so we subtract 6x. Subtract 6x. Do the opposite of subtract 15, which is add 15. And this cancels, and that cancels. We're left with 2y. What's 6x plus 15? 6x plus 15. Can't add them. One's a number, one's a letter. Now, if you have 2y, you divide by 2. And you're left with y equals 6 divided by 2 is 3x plus, oh, come on, Let's do that again. Apologies. So we're left with y equals 6 over 2x, which is 3x. I'm just going to divide it. Plus 15 over 2. 15 over 2 is just 15 over 2. So the slope, you got to remember, you got to answer the question, equals 3. And the y-intercept is that. I'll accept that, but I also want you to write it, because if you're graphing, that's not really going to help you. You have to tell me what number 15 halves is. So how many times does 2 go into 15 without going over? 7. Keep the same denominator. How many left over? 1. Okay, so full marks for that. That's what's going to show up on the multiple choice anyway. Okay, we're going to be solving a lot for y, and they look like they're all positive in example 4, except for the one I'm going to do. So you are going to do it like the way we did in the green one, or in B. You're going to bring the other 2 over, and then divide by the number with y. Okay. What do you have to know in example 4? Well, this is a tough question. Anytime you have perpendicular, it's an extra step. So what's the plan, Stan, my dad? It says which of the following lines are perpendicular to this line? Perpendicular means slope. If I'm finding slope and want to compare slopes, I am solving for y. Make sense? We have to do it 4 times. Solve for y. So I'm going to do the first one, and you do the other 3. So I'm going to solve for 4x subtract 2y. I'm not sure where the best place to do that is, but I'm going to solve for y here. Go ahead and write this down. I'm going to add 2y to both sides. Trying to save some room. And then divide by 2. I get y equals 2x plus 9 halves. Now it says perpendicular, so for this one I care about the slope. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. You can just find these slopes and then compare them, or you can find the perpendicular slope. That's what I'm going to do. And if one of these slopes equals the perpendicular slope, then yes, it's perpendicular to the first line. So I'm going to, actually I can even keep the black. I'm going to now write down the perpendicular slope of 2 over 1 is negative 1/2. So if any of those lines have a slope of negative 1/2, they're perpendicular. Okay, so you go ahead and do these 3 lines, 1, 2, and 3. Solve for y and see if they're perpendicular, see if their slope is negative 1/2. So I'm going to get you to pause that until you're done. Probably should take you 5-ish minutes. Pause, 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 pause. All right, we're kind of ready to go. And you notice that all these y's are positive. So I'm going to bring the other things from the other side to the other side. Okay, yeah. I said things again, my word. Terms, negative 6x and add 1 to both sides. Negative 6x and add 1 to both sides. Pow, pow. We get 3y equals negative 6x plus 1. Divide by 3. And this is y equals negative 2x plus 1/3. What do we care about? We care about the slope. We have to have negative 1/2. Is this slope negative 1/2? No. What do you have to say? You have to say not perpendicular. I want to use a symbol. That's perpendicular symbol. Or yes, it is perpendicular. This one's similar. Subtract x and add 12 to both sides. 2y equals negative x plus 12. Divide by 2. And this is looking promising. Sorry, that's a y. This is actually negative 1/2 x plus 6. There's a 1 here. Is this equal to negative 1/2? Sure is. So they are perpendicular. Don't forget to answer the question. You can't just do this and then leave it. You have to say, are they perpendicular or not? So they are perpendicular. And this guy, a little easier, just one term to bring over. Subtract 5x, subtract 5x, get 10y equals negative 5x. Again, promising. Divide by 10. And you're not going to put negative 5/10. Some of you are doing that on your assignment. I mean, that's good, but you have to simplify any fraction. So 5 and 10 both divide by 5. So reduce. That's like a Freddy Flintstone 5. So negative 1/2 x. What's the slope? Negative 1/2. What do we need? Negative 1/2. So these lines are perpendicular. All right. Super question. I wouldn't ask you a question like that on the test. That's a lot of work. Too much work. But I would ask you for 2 lines for sure. Are they perpendicular? Is this line perpendicular to this line? And you'd compare the slopes, and they have to have negative reciprocal slopes if they're perpendicular. So there. Go ahead and write that down. I'll pause it, and we'll talk about the very important 6 stars. Okay. It's not overstating it to say solving for y is going to be the most important skill of your life. It has to be. Look at. If I ask you to find the slope, solve for y. We already went through this. You can read. But you're going to get a lot of number 4, parallel and perpendicular. What does that mean? It means solve for y. You can find the slope. Graphing calculator doesn't work unless you solve for y. You have a y equals button. And equation of a line, unless it says in general form, that's not solving for y, that's 0 equals. But if it says just find the equation of a line, that y equals is an equation of a line. Okay, so you have homework. You're solving for y. I want you to do, okay, I like the variety, but I don't love, I want to do 1 positive y, 1 negative y. So this is good. Let's go solve for y. Let's do this C and D. Okay, go ahead and do compact disc. Answer the question. And you can pause it right now and come back to me in about 5 minutes, or whenever you're done, you can unpause. So pretty please pause. Okay, how would you do? Well, there's 1 negative y over here, so let's bring it to that side. So we're going to add 3y to both sides. Those cancel, so you're left with 8x subtract 3 equals 3y. Divide by 3. Good job, I finally left myself enough space. You get 8/3 x subtract 3 divided by 3, which is 1. Not done. It says what's the slope and what's the intercept? Slope equals 8/3, the number in front of x. Y-intercept, include the subtraction sign, is 0, negative 1. D, I'm going to bring the other terms to the other side. Keep the 6y, so to get rid of 3x, we subtract 3x from both sides. I'm doing the opposite of subtracting 7, which is adding 7. That cancels and that cancels. You're left with 6y equals negative 3x plus 711. Divide both sides by 6, of course, and you get negative 3, 6. I'm going to reduce it to negative 1/2. If you want to write down negative 3, 6x and then reduce it, that's fine. Plus 7, 6. What do they ask? They ask for the slope. If you put the slope as negative 3, 6, you'll lose a half a mark. And the y-intercept is good enough like that. You could also write down 0 and 1 1/6. Okay, the rest of 2 is for homework. 8 is for homework on the bottom of the next page. You have to solve y for all of these. Okay, I love it. There's some negative y's. Most of them are negative y's, where we just bring to the other side. And then there's one positive y. And number 1 might be this one and this one. Okay, so you can, I would solve for the y first and then compare the answers. Except for this one, remember what we did here. For this one, you substitute x equals negative 10 for your x, and y is negative 4, and see if the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. If it doesn't, then do this one. If it does, I think you have to check all of them, which is good practice for that skill. Perpendicular, underline it twice. You know what that means. They're giving you a slope, and the slope isn't 5/2. It's the perpendicular slope. Okay. So you're going to have bottom of the last page, 17 or 16 for homework, and the bottom of this page for homework. We're going to do the top of this page now. And there is 2 words we want to concentrate on: general form and parallel. So what does that mean? It means we have to solve for y. Same y-intercept as this one, solve for y. When you hear all this stuff, perpendicular this, same y-intercept as this, to solve for y, solve for y, solve for y. Okay. Edit, clear page. Let's not get too crazy. Okay, so I'm going to solve for y. Let's call this 1. This is very helpful when you do this for the teacher. So this is the first equation I'm solving y for. I'm going to go fairly quickly. So get your pencil ready. I add 3y to both sides. Get 2x plus 9. And then divide by 3. So 2 over 3x plus 3. You don't have to do it as fast as I did. It says parallel. So what do I care about? I care about the slope. And I care about the parallel slope. So the parallel slope, that's a symbol for parallel, is 2/3. Not my first thing. My second thing is same y-intercept as number 2. 22x, subtract 3y, subtract 18. And bring that y over. Same thing, divide by 3. 22x subtract 18 equals 3y. Don't know why my CDs didn't sell. There's nothing better than math country songs. Subtract 6. So what does this say? Almost went for the slope. Nope, it says the same y-intercept as this one. Okay, so that's good. Third Mississippi. What's the equation of that plus that? Well, we've done that already. 2/3 x subtract 6. Yay! Don't stop. You did the hard part. You're not done. It says general form. Oh, tricky, licky, study, starry. Okay, so I'm going to give you, you get 75% of your marks at this point, but you still need to do the fourth part for your fourth half a mark. And that is get it into general form, make one side equal 0. Remember, you cannot have fractions in general form, so you have to multiply by the LCD, or if it's just one denominator, then multiply by the 3. Don't forget to multiply everything else by 3 as well. Now, how you get one side equal to 0, subtract 3y, and there is great satisfaction on doing a question like this. Okay, this is, when you get this right answer, you're just happy, happy, happy. That's just awesome. Is it impossible? No. Is it long? Yeah. It's about 4 questions in one. You solve for y, you solve for y. From those, you get an equation. And from that equation, you get rid of the fractions and make one side equal to 0. Can you do it? You bet you can. We've done each skill separately. Now this one combines everything. Okay, so here's what you're doing. Your final part of Friday. You are going to do number 5, and then you're going to work on your homework, bottom of last page and bottom of this page, and solve your y, solve y, solve y many times. It's that important. A little story, quick story. Let's just talk about how lucky I am. I was pretty lucky as a kid. One time I found 20 bucks going across the train tracks to 7-Eleven. That's a lot of money in 1931. One time on buying hockey cards, I got a special card said you won the whole set, congratulations, and I received a whole uncut set. That was Stevie Eiserman's rookie card set in the mail. And one time when we bought pop, you could, there's lots of contests, and for one you had to spell Pac-Man with the crush liners under the bottle cap, and eventually when you get enough of them you could see which one was the hard one to get, and it was the C, the C that looked like Pac-Man, and sure enough one day I got it and sent it in, and they mailed me a Pac-Man arcade game like those mini ones you see at Walmart. So if you don't see me tomorrow, it's because I won the lottery. It was nice knowing you, and I will always pray for you. Please, I'm going to say God bless, have an awesome day now, but you're going to have lots of time left in your class. Maybe not lots, but some to work on homework. First do 5, okay? Do 5 first, and then work on homework. God bless, have an awesome weekend. Ha ha ha. Tutor Manor loves you. God bless.